Welcome back. Young men leaving the Democrat Party, and no one on the left can seem to figure out why. Well, in fact, according to the New York Times, the party's dropping $20 million to try and solve this big mystery. We could probably save them some cash and just say it's stuff like this.
Choose your character.
I'm looking for a yellow bone, long hair star, thick in the hips. Come get in my car.
Yada die, yada die, yada die, die. Yada die, 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 da 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 die.
All right, that's right. After ignoring the economy, exploding prices, and our open southern border, to go all in on social justice and saving democracy, they're stunned to see that their former working class coalition is vanishing. But hey, it's nothing a check to a D.C. think tank can't fix. And what is, astonishing to me about this and the $20 million plan that they have is they want to go after young men. They realize that President Trump won this last election because of his outreach to young men who are so lost in this country and looking for direction, and also the different platforms that he used to get his messaging out there. Brian, I don't really think they care about young men. I just think they realize they lost that vote, and so they need to try to buy it, basically, in the next election if they want to win again. But then that speaks exactly to what the problem is, which is they still don't understand why they lost. They still don't get it.
Well, they knew men were involved in losing, so they got that part of it. But they care for men like a scientist cares for whatever's in the petri dish when they're looking through the microscope. Just like if you're studying men, you already wrong. You are on the wrong track if your approach is to study men. Here's the thing about they think President Trump has like this magic formula with men. He didn't have a magic formula with men. All he said is, "You're not evil. You're not racist, and you're not existentially wrong for being a man." That's it. And men are like, "Oh, thank you. I appreciate that." And then the other thing he basically said is, "Now I'm going to leave you alone to live your life." And that is actually what guys want. But they don't want to be studied like there's some animal in the wild that nobody's seen before, and what are his movements, and they definitely don't want to be compared to Tim Walz. I'd get rid of that guy right away.
Look, you're talking about sincerity. President Trump led with sincerity. He knew what was wrong with them, what was wrong in society. He said it and said he was going to make changes. That you can't fake sincerity, right? And the Democrats are faking sincerity. They want to study. But here's my bigger issue is, why do you need to spend any money? I thought, maybe I'm wrong, the job of a politician is to be for the people. Go out and talk to your constituents. Those are your constituents. Figure out what they want. Actually take the time to address them and figure out what their issues are.
Jasmine Crockett said she wanted a job when she grew up where she didn't have to talk to people.
Yeah,
but
that doesn't work so well.
Dagan, I just want to get your take on this, because when I look at it, I think what essentially the Democrats do to young men is they emasculate them. They almost encourage them not to be men, not to work, to kind of live off the system, to be in your mother's basement. We've talked about that sort of profile person before. Whereas I think President Trump sort of tapped into the zeitgeist of what men are feeling. They want to be men. They want to get out. They want to work. They want to provide. So to your point, Brian, he really sort of understood what was missing in the messaging to them and wants to revive that back again. I don't think the Democrats want strong, successful men in this country.
No, there is a power pyramid of adversity. And the more things that you have in your life, adversities that you face, the higher up on that pyramid you are in the left-wing universe. So if you're a dude, you're down here.
We're the base of the pyramid, Lou.
In the Luniverse.
Holding the whole thing up.
Great new word.
You're the patriarchy. You're the root of all the evil. That's how they've been viewed and treated for how long? By the Democrats, the liberals, whatever you want to call them. This is called, wait, what did they call this thing? The Speaking with American Men, codenamed SAM. Which stands for stupid as mud. They're basically the only thing that they've given a man, and they're not going to study men too closely because they might discover that they have XY chromosomes, and that would just kind of blow up the whole the men competing as women against women. That's really all that men have gotten from this party's movement is, hey, you can beat up chicks in sport and we'll just turn a blind eye to it.
Yeah.
Literally. What have they gotten in terms of the nuclear family? The man goes to work, or it's a two-job household. And the man being a provider. You can't have that conversation, not in that world. Maybe that's why they've tried to bankrupt the American family. And I mean the Democrats.
Yeah. And then also you've got this idea that they don't know who they are. They don't have a leader, Taylor. So not only are they mismessaging to certain groups or messaging the way they want those groups to be, they also are just, not looking at the past, not understanding what happened here. You've got somebody like Rahm Emanuel who's saying the brand is weak. Yeah. A few sane Democrats will say that, but nobody really tries to fix it. Maybe he will be the one. I don't know.
My favorite Rahm Emanuel quote in February, is he said, if I was in 7th grade and someone told me I could pretend to be a girl and go into a girl's locker room, I would. Right? Wouldn't you? If you were a young 7th grade boy, right? Without
like girls changing?
Yeah. Yeah. Why not? Right? And when he said that, I'm like, finally, I would hope that 99% of the time, the intentions are good. If you legitimately are an adult over the age of 18 and think that you are born in the wrong body, that's not my business, you do you. But under the age of 18, I'm not sure I 100% believe every young boy's intentions, that they want to just play women's sports because they think they're a woman, or go into a girl's locker room because they think they're a woman. I'm not saying anything new that hasn't been already said. Toxic masculinity for me is number one. The minute that phrase came into our lexicon, you've lost men. I think I said the word toxic, and my husband's like, that word's banned in our household, because he now associates it with toxic masculinity.
Because they're always connected. They never say masculinity without toxic.
And, and you can't be...
You can say, but what about the stuff under the sink
yeah,
that we have locked away from the children? Go ahead.
No, I mean, I'll never forget, finally I had an OB who looked at my husband and me and talked about how you're giving birth. And then she looked at me and she said, actually, I'm sorry, you're giving birth because you're the woman. Finally, but why is that a controversial statement where we've been told that men can give birth? That is where you've lost so many young men who grow up in this world, and you're like, what planet am I on?
It's because they see the glorification of some minority pursuit, right? That the male that wants to get pregnant or wants to change genders, and that gets glorified, and the majority gets left out. They elevated the minority too much. And look, whether you are faith-based or not, there's a great book called Wild at Heart that gets into what is it to be a man, what energizes men. And I think young men are feeling that. They want to be adventurous. They want to be men. They want to go provide. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not saying that women can't be ambitious like all the women right here. I mean, 2 lawyers, super accomplished. It's not trying to tear down one versus the other. We're trying to let everyone be who they want to be and pursue that the best they can.
Redneck who knows how to play the Star Spangled Banner on my armpit. I got that going for me.
How do you hit the high notes?
Just not a secondary degree.
They also make that pregnant male emoji and shove it down your throat.
I thought that was Bill Gates.
Does that still exist?
I don't know if it still exists. I never used it. Okay, now on